You sit in your doctor's office, exhausted. Your hair is falling out, you can't lose weight no matter how little you eat, and the brain fog is so thick you can barely focus. Your doctor looks at your lab results and says, "Great news, your TSH is perfectly normal. You are fine." But you feel like you are dying inside. You are not crazy. It is biology. This video is for educational purposes only, and this is not a substitute for professional medical advice or therapy. Hi. I'm speaking to you as a functional endocrinologist and a clinician who has sat with hundreds of women saying the exact same thing. You deserve to have your experience taken seriously. You deserve answers that honor both the labs and how you feel. Let me say this plainly. When your symptoms in your life are being eroded by fatigue, weight gain, thinning hair, cold intolerance, and brain fog, hearing that your TSH is normal can feel like being gaslit. That feeling is real. Biology can explain this disconnect, and understanding the biology will give you the words and tests to ask for. Here's the short version. TSH is one single signal from the brain. It does not tell the whole story. If you only measure TSH, you can miss what's happening at the level of the thyroid gland, in the blood, and inside every cell where energy is actually made. Over the next chapters I'll show you why that matters, and what tests actually give the full picture. Before we go deeper, I want to acknowledge how exhausting and demoralizing this is. Many of you have been dismissed, offered one-size-fits-all advice, or told to wait while symptoms worsen. That's unacceptable. Science and compassion should go together, and that's what I aim to bring in this video. In this chapter I'll explain the key limits of a TSH-only approach. Next, we'll walk through the full thyroid panel, what each test means and why it matters. Later we'll cover why T4 medication alone sometimes isn't enough at the cellular level, and simple biological supports that can help the conversion process. I'll be calm, evidence-focused, and direct. I will not promise miracles, but I will give you clear, medically sensible language to take back to your clinician and actions you can discuss that may help you feel better. If you're ready, let's begin by understanding what TSH actually is, and why treating labs without treating the person leaves too many women stuck and suffering. Let's start with the simplest, most important truth. TSH is not a thyroid hormone. It's a pituitary hormone, a signal the brain sends to the thyroid to tell it to make more hormone. Think of it as an instruction, not the fuel itself. The pituitary releases TSH when it senses the body needs more thyroid hormone. When there's enough, TSH falls. This feedback loop is the core of what's called the hypothalamic pituitary thyroid, or HPT, axis. That's why many doctors use TSH as a quick screening tool. It often moves before the actual thyroid hormones do. But a screening test is not the same as a full diagnostic story. TSH is extremely useful when the HPT axis is behaving normally, and when you're not in the middle of another physiological stressor. Relying only on TSH assumes the rest of the system, conversion, transport, cellular uptake, receptor sensitivity, is intact. That assumption can be wrong. To use a thermostat analogy, checking TSH alone is like walking into a cold house, looking at the thermostat on the wall, and being told the temperature is 72 degrees Fahrenheit. So everything must be fine, without going downstairs to see if the furnace is actually producing heat, or if the ducts are blocked, or if the rooms are insulated. The thermostat, TSH, tells you what the controller thinks. It doesn't guarantee heat at the level where you feel it. Here's the biochemistry in plain terms. The thyroid primarily secretes T4, the storage or prohormone. Your body, in tissues like the liver, muscle, and brain, uses enzymes called deiodinases, D1, D2, which are selenoproteins, to remove an iodine atom and convert T4 into the biologically active T3. If conversion is impaired, you can have adequate T4 in the blood and a TSH in the normal range, but still not have enough active T3 where it matters, inside cells. Selenium and zinc are essential cofactors for those deiodinases. There are real, physiological reasons this conversion fails for some people. Chronic stress and high cortisol, inflammation, calorie restriction or rapid weight loss, acute illness, certain medications, and even differences in how the pituitary senses circulating hormones. In these situations the body sometimes shifts T4 away from making T3 and toward making reverse T3. a mirror image molecule that occupies weight loss, acute illness, certain medications, and even differences in how the pituitary senses circulating hormones. That's the biochemical equivalent of throwing an emergency brake on metabolism. Clinically, this pattern, low T3 with normal or high RT3 and a deceptively normal TSH, is well documented in the so-called non-thyroidal illness or euthyroid sick syndrome. It's most obvious in critically ill patients, but milder, chronic versions exist and can explain why many women on T4 medications still feel symptomatic despite normal TSH. In short, normal TSH does not guarantee normal tissue thyroid activity. Another nuance is reference ranges versus individual optimal ranges. Lab reference intervals are population statistics. They include healthy people and people with mild disease, and they're intentionally broad. Some women feel best at tighter, more individualized ranges that reflect how they function, not just where a population average sits. That's why investigating a full panel, not just TSH, gives a much clearer clinical picture. I know this can be frustrating. You want a single number to explain your pain. Medicine often defaults to the easiest test. But medicine is also moving toward asking better questions. What are your symptoms? What do your free T4, free T3, RT3, and antibodies show? Is your body converting T4 to T3? Those are the questions we'll walk through next. Now we move to the practical heart of this video, the full thyroid panel. If you leave with one takeaway from this chapter, it should be simple. One single lab, TSH, cannot capture everything happening between the bloodstream and the nucleus of your cells. Ask for a full panel so you and your clinician can close the gap between labs and lived experience. Let's start with free T4. Free T4 measures the unbound fraction of thyroxine floating in your blood, the portion that's available to tissues. Most thyroid replacement medications supply synthetic T4. So a normal or high free T4 can simply reflect that the medication is doing its job at the bloodstream level. But free T4 is still a prohormone. It needs to be converted to T3 to produce cellular energy. In short, free T4 tells you about supply in the circulation, not necessarily activity inside the cell. Next, free T3, the active hormone. Free T3 is what actually binds to thyroid receptors in the nucleus and turns on the genes that make mitochondrial energy. Symptoms like fatigue, slow thinking, and cold intolerance often correlate more closely with free T3 than with TSH or free T4. That's why measuring free T3 is essential when symptoms persist despite a normal TSH. Important nuance. A normal free T4 with a low free T3 suggests impaired peripheral conversion, meaning the body isn't efficiently turning T4 into T3. That's the pattern many women find when they're on levothyroxine and still feel unwell. Their blood shows T4 is present, but free T3 is lower than you'd expect for optimal function. That brings us to reverse T3, or RT3. RT3 is the mirror image of T3. It looks like T3 to the receptor but does not activate it. When the body is stressed, due to illness, inflammation, calorie restriction, emotional or physiological stress, it can shunt T4 toward producing RT3 as a protective, energy-conserving response. In small doses for short periods, this is adaptive. When persistent, high RT3 can competitively block T3 from working, and patients can feel hypothyroid at the tissue level even when TSH and free T4 appear acceptable. Clinically useful patterns include low free T3 with elevated RT3, suggesting a conversion problem or stress response, or low free T3 with normal RT3, which suggests different mechanisms, like low deiodinase activity, the RT3, free T3 relationship, and occasionally the RT3-T3 ratio, can help clinicians interpret why symptoms persist. Finally, thyroid antibodies, specifically antithyroid peroxidase, TPOAB, and thyroglobulin antibodies, TGAB. These are the markers for autoimmune thyroid disease, most commonly Hashimoto's. Antibodies can be present years before TSH moves outside the reference range. Detecting antibodies changes management. It shifts the focus toward immune modulation, nutrient status, and strategies to reduce inflammation, not only hormone replacement. If you have symptoms and antibodies, That's an actionable finding even if TSH is normal. Putting it together. A full panel answers questions TSH cannot. Free T4 tells you what's available in the blood. Free T3 tells you what's active. RT3 tells you whether an energy-saving brake is engaged. Antibodies tell you whether an autoimmune process may be driving the problem. When you have all four, you and your clinician can construct a targeted plan, not guesswork. Practical testing tips. Ask your clinician to order free T4, free T3, RT3, and TPO, TGAB. If you're on T4 replacement, coordinate timing for the blood draw. Discuss whether to take your medication before the lab or after, since timing can affect levels. Also ask whether the lab reports free versus total hormone values. Free hormones are more clinically informative. I'll be clear. Having these labs doesn't automatically give you a one-word solution, but they do give you data, and data reduce the guessing, validate your experience, and provide a path forward. Next we'll discuss why T4-only medication sometimes doesn't translate into feeling well at the cellular level, and what biological supports matter for conversion. We're now in the most practical section. Why taking a T4 medication, which raises circulating thyroxine, doesn't always translate into feeling energized, mentally sharp, or warm again. The missing link for many people is conversion. Turning that circulating T4 into the active T3 inside tissues where it's actually needed. First, one very important rule I must say out loud: never stop or change your medication dosage without speaking to your endocrinologist. Medication adjustments are clinical decisions, don't make them alone. Mechanistically, conversion depends on enzymes called deiodinases. These enzymes remove an iodine atom from T4 and convert it into T3. Some of these enzymes, D1 and D2, are selenoproteins, meaning they need selenium to function. Zinc also plays a crucial role in the biochemical steps that allow T3 to bind receptors and help mitochondria produce energy. When these cofactors are low, conversion slows. When conversion slows, you can have normal T4 and TSH on a lab sheet, but low active T3 inside cells, and that's what causes the symptoms you feel. Conversion can also be suppressed by everyday physiological stressors. Chronic stress and high cortisol, systemic inflammation, frequent dieting or very low calorie intake, poor sleep, some common medications, and even chronic infections. These create an environment where the body favors reverse T3, the metabolic brake, or simply downregulates conversion to conserve energy. That's why treating symptoms requires more than replacement hormone. It requires attention to the whole biological context. So what can be done practically and safely? First, test free T3 and RT3, so you know if conversion is the problem. Second, address modifiable factors. Reduce chronic stress where possible, prioritize restorative sleep, and avoid very low-calorie diets unless supervised. Third, optimize key nutrients that biochemically support conversion. These are not magic bullets. They're biological building blocks that help the cellular machinery work better. This is also where targeted nutritional support can make a difference. Supplements that provide selenium and zinc, in clinically appropriate, safe amounts, supply the cofactors deiodinases need. L-Tyrosine supplies raw material for hormone synthesis, and adaptogens like Ashwagandha can help rebalance the adrenal-thyroid interaction when stress is a major driver. Importantly, these supplements are meant to support conversion and cellular function, not to replace prescribed hormone therapy. Always discuss supplementation with your clinician. A brief, measured introduction to Thyrafemme Balance. It's formulated to provide a targeted matrix of cofactors, selenium and zinc, plus L-Tyrosine and adaptogenic support intended specifically for women managing thyroid symptoms. The formulation is designed to supply biological building blocks that may help support T4 right-pointing arrow T3 conversion and the adrenal-thyroid connection. It is not a medication and is not promoted as a cure. Instead, it's a complement you can discuss with your provider to bridge nutrient gaps that might be impairing how your body activates thyroid hormone. Quick practical guidance. If you and your clinician choose to trial a supplement regimen, do baseline testing, free T3, RT3, selenium status if available, and antibodies, and recheck after an agreed period. Track symptoms objectively: sleep, energy, cognition, hair, temperature tolerance, and pair nutrient support with stress reduction and sleep hygiene. This combined approach often gives the best chance of improving cellular thyroid activity. Next, we'll wrap up with a grounded conclusion and the final reminder about medical guidance and safe steps forward. Let's pull this together. You deserve to feel optimal, not merely within range. If your TSH is normal but you still feel exhausted, cold, forgetful, or like your hair is thinning, that is real, and there are measurable reasons for it. The roadmap is simple. Test more completely, look beyond the thermostat, and treat the whole biological context. Actionable steps to bring back agency. 1. Ask your clinician for a full thyroid panel, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, and thyroid antibodies. 2. Work with them on medication timing and interpretation. Don't make changes alone. 3. Address stress, sleep, and nutrition that affect conversion. 4. Consider targeted nutrient support to provide the cofactors your body needs to convert T4 to T3. If you're wondering about nutritional support, supplements like Selenium, Zinc, L-Tyrosine, and adaptogens can be helpful as a complement. They provide biological building blocks and support conversion. They are not medication replacements, and they're not magic cures. If you decide to try a supplement, do it as part of a plan with your clinician and track objective labs and symptoms. If you want more details about one option that was formulated for women, and includes those cofactors, check the link in the description for the Thyrafemme Balance protocol to help support your thyroid conversion. Use it as a tool to discuss with your clinician, not as a substitute for professional care. Before we close, one reminder to protect your safety: never stop or change your medication dosage without speaking to your endocrinologist. Medication decisions are clinical and individualized. Finally, and this is important, this video is for educational purposes only and does not replace personalized medical advice from your healthcare provider. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe for evidence-based, empathetic thyroid education. You are not alone in this. You deserve careful answers, respectful clinicians, and a plan that aligns labs with the way you feel.